Welcome back to the Vandy Sports Podcast alongside Joey Dwyer. I'm Billy Derrick, and we are reacting to the latest announcement, Vanderbilt football being ranked inside the AP Top 25 poll for the first time since 2013, which obviously, if you ever played the 2014, the last before this year's video game, Vanderbilt's number 25 in that game, which I've always thought was hilarious. So that gives you a good indicator of how long it's been since Vanderbilt has been ranked. But we'll talk about Texas, a little bit throughout this week, but just the simple fact that Vanderbilt is ranked in the top 25. Didn't think I'd be saying that before this season, Joey. And again, I think it speaks to the decisions Clark made in the month of December for the most part. Now, I'm sure other people were brought in before then, and then maybe a little bit after then, but just the month of December. He's talked to us a lot about how that was the hardest month of his life. And how many hard decisions had to be made, and just how this program shifted in the snap of a finger. I mean, you bring Tim back in, and that is the beginning of something special that we've seen this year. This season has been special so far, and not just the Alabama game. To go on the road in Lexington and beat Kentucky, that's probably the game that, okay, they could be ranked here. You got Ball State. So, again, never thought I'd be saying that before this season, but credit to Clark Lee, credit to Diego Pavia. I mean, he's obviously been the key to this car, the engine, whatever you want to say. But they're ranked, Joey. And obviously we'll talk more about Texas, but pretty crazy stuff.
I mean, this is a big deal, Billy. This is a program that was 2-10 last year, and I think Clark Lee has engineered one of college football's best turnarounds in recent memory. I mean, this was a team that didn't get within 15 points of an SEC opponent last year. Now they're 5-2. They're knocking on the door of a bowl game, and they're ranked. I think that's just huge validation for Clark Lee's vision for this program. It's been actualized, and the changes he has made have just been unbelievable. And I can't even wrap my head around the fact that they're ranked at this point. And they should be ranked. They totally deserve to be ranked at this point. They have the resume for it, and I think this makes them more than just a team that beat Alabama. I think the Kentucky win did that, but now you're really looking at it and you're saying, man, they're not just a team that beat Alabama. They're a team that the national media has consistently seen put up good performances and good enough performances to be ranked. And obviously they got a little bit of help today or last night, but I just think, man, they deserve to be here. And what a remarkable turnaround it has been, even since last December for this program. The fact that you didn't even know if Clark Lee would make it out of this year at times. You were questioning whether this program was made of the right stuff or if it could ever win in the SEC in the NIL era, and they've completely used it to their advantage and have engineered a turnaround that I don't know that I really ever thought that they would have. Having that number next to their name probably doesn't mean a whole lot to Clark Lee, but I just think it's such a huge step of progress for this program and such a huge thing nationally that they're getting that respect. And honestly, man, they totally should have that respect by what they've done so far. They've won in so many different ways. They've won in shootouts. They've won in keep-away contests. They've won with their defense. They've won ugly. Man, they have won in a lot of different ways, and that's what good teams do. Vanderbilt's a good team, and I think you learn that with these rankings.
Yeah, and look, I think there's so many people to credit for this, but at the end of the day, I think Clark Lee deserves the most credit. Now, again, the players have gone out there and done the work. But for Clark Lee to make the decision he made in December to really shift his thinking, his entire way of thinking on how to build this program and to continue to build this program, he made a little tweak, not just a little tweak. I mean, they totally put their chips on the table for Pavia and the new age of NIL and transfer portal, and it's worked. It's paid off for them this year, as you can see. It's kind of funny how we look at rankings. Players last night after the Ball State win obviously were asked about the rankings, whether it was Stowers and Taylor's. It's at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But I do think for the perception, I mean, rankings have been really important over the years for college football fans. If you're watching a game, you see a little number next to that team. Okay, they're ranked, But there's probably 20, 30 other teams right outside that team that could be competing with the same team they are in that game. So that's how much parity, especially this season, there's been in college football. So I think even more so now. Grand scheme of things, again, may not matter. But national perception-wise, whoa, Vanderbilt's ranked. right? I think that I mean, you kind of continue, but the Alabama win really kick-started the national, scene, paying attention to Vanderbilt football. But being ranked in the top 25 is another step up, right? You're on that next floor of, okay, can you beat Texas and jump up to top 15 in the, I mean, I think that's in front of this program. That's the opportunity that is in front of them, Joey. But what is funny to me, what I was getting at, is that they're technically ranked number 26 right now, and then they're moving up one spot. And now, but again, to have that number in front of this team says a lot, not for the players or the coaches, but I think for fans and for the outside perception, which I think matters when you're trying to turn around a program the way Clark Lee is trying to do and has done.
Billy, they're no longer just one of America's best underdog stories. They're one of America's better teams, and we had known that for the last couple of weeks, but I think the country is going to learn that with this ranking. Maybe they come out and lay a stinker against Texas, who knows, but I think this is just a huge step for them. They've been ranked in just 4 seasons since 1980, I think like 6 total weeks, something along those lines, and this puts this season in elite company in terms of Vanderbilt football seasons that they went to bowl games. 2008 was that a James Franklin year in which they were really successful.
Bobby Johnson,
2013 was a pretty solid year for them. So they've had a couple good years mixed in. Now this puts this season in the context of those seasons in the same tier, and I think these players deserve it. I think this coaching staff deserves it, and again, just a validation for Clark Lee's vision. We've talked about that all year. He kind of envisioned this happening. And I don't know that a whole lot of people believed him or kind of saw the vision, but he got a group of players that bought in. He got a group of players that has really just followed his lead, and they know how to win now. They know how to compete with edge. They have confidence. Man, I don't know how you can bet against this team and say they're not supposed to be ranked, because right now to me they look like a ranked team. They've looked like a ranked team to me since the Kentucky game and maybe since even the Alabama game. But for Vanderbilt, they're kind of fighting against the tax of, man, you've been bad for a couple of years. And they were kind of climbing uphill a little bit there, and they still got it. I think maybe the ranking goes away next weekend, but just having that number next to their name even for a week, I think it's just such a huge deal for them.
Yeah, and I think there's opportunity to hover around, those rankings. If you're at 25, and for example, you lose to Texas, maybe you drop back a few 3-4 spots, maybe. I mean, I don't know how the rankings work. It's AP poll voters. That's the other thing. We don't know if they beat Texas, where they'll be, right? But at the end of the day, is what matters is that they're ranked right now, and again, they can hover around. If you say you knock off LSU and Baton Rouge, for example, that would probably put them right back in there. You probably can't afford a loss to an Auburn, maybe even South Carolina, but you can hover. You can be there and have a chance to maybe end the season ranked like they did in 2013. So. Either way, Joey, it's a big day. I mean, it's a big day, first time since 2013, and this just doesn't happen. I mean, this doesn't happen a lot. Really for Vanderbilt in general in recent years. I mean, baseball, they're ranked in the top 10 before every season, but basketball, they haven't been ranked in a while. Football, especially, they haven't been ranked in a while. So I think it's big for the fans, but also just proof of concept for this program, but also for the entire athletic department to say, hey, our football team can go out here and do this. That means the baseball team can get back to that level, and the basketball team can get back to a level that they were at as well.
I mean, people have taken notice of this. I talked to Mark Byington's mentor, Bobby Cremins, a few days ago, and he talked about how you can now win at Vanderbilt because this football team has won. I think a lot of people are kind of that thought, and this, again, shows you do that, and it shows the level you can do it at. It shows you don't have to just be a team that hovers around the middle of the SEC and considers that a successful year. You can go and be ranked, and you can go and beat the number 1 team in the country, things along those lines. And Vanderbilt has proven to be able to do that recently. And again, not a whole lot more to say about it, just what a huge testament to what Clark Lee has done, the turnaround that he has engineered with this program. And the fact that it's not a fluke, it's not a week 2 ranking, it's not a week 3 ranking after a big win. This is a win that people have kind of been thinking about all year. This is a ranking people have been thinking about all year. And this isn't a preseason ranking. This isn't a ranking that people are looking at and saying, well, we think they're going to be good, or confirmation bias after a week 1 loss, things along those lines. This is Vanderbilt's had to work for this. People have gone in with a negative perception of this program, and they proved it wrong, and they've proved people wrong all season. Why can't they do it again next weekend against Texas? That's a really good team. It's a tall task, but it's a hard team to bet on, and I think the ranking puts a target on their back a little bit. But, I mean, why would you bet against this team at this point? They have earned this, and after 3 straight wins, Vanderbilt football is ranked for the first time since 2013.
There you have it. That's why we wanted to hop on here and react, and we'll continue to get reaction throughout the week and preview this big game against Texas on Saturday. Vandy's in the top 25. Didn't think we'd be saying that before the start of this season. But anyway, again, we'll stay tuned with our coverage throughout the rest of the week. That's Joey Dwyer. I'm Billy Derrick. Thanks for checking out another episode of the Vandy Sports Podcast.